Welcome to another Epic Ethics story, part of the Daniel's Fun Ethics Initiative Elementary School program. As you listen to the story, consider the 4 awesome questions, inspired by the Rotary 4-way test. Is it true? Is it fair? Will it build friendships and community? Will it be helpful to those involved? Stay with us after the story for some thought-provoking discussion questions. And now, The Blind Men and the Elephant, a folk tale from India. Long ago, 6 old men lived in a village. By chance, each one was born blind. The other villagers loved the old men and kept them away from harm. Since the blind men could not see the world for themselves, they had to imagine many of its wonders. They listened carefully to stories told by travelers to learn what they could about life outside the village. The men were curious about many of the stories they heard, but they were most curious about elephants. They were told that elephants could trample forests, carry huge burdens, and frighten young and old with their loud trumpet calls. But they also knew that the Raja's daughter rode an elephant when she traveled in her father's kingdom. Would the Raja let his daughter get near such a dangerous creature? The old men argued day and night about elephants. An elephant must be a powerful giant, claimed the first blind man. He had heard stories about elephants being used to clear forests and build roads. No, you must be wrong, argued the second blind man. An elephant must be graceful and gentle if a princess is to ride on its back. You're wrong. I heard that an elephant can pierce a man's heart with his terrible horn, said the third blind man. Please, said the fourth blind man. You're all mistaken. An elephant is nothing more than a large sort of cow. You know how people exaggerate. I'm sure that an elephant is something magical, said the fifth blind man. That would explain why the Raja's daughter can travel safely throughout the kingdom. I don't believe elephants exist at all, declared the sixth blind man. I think we are all victims of a cruel joke. Finally, the villagers grew tired of all the arguments, and they arranged for the curious men to visit the palace of the Raja, to learn the truth about elephants. A young boy from their village was selected to guide the blind men on their journey. The smallest man put his hand on the boy's shoulder. The second blind man put his hand on his friend's shoulder, and so on until all 6 men were ready to walk safely behind the boy, who would lead them to the Raja's magnificent palace. When the blind men reached the palace, they were greeted by an old friend from their village who worked as a gardener in the palace grounds. Their friend led them to the courtyard. There stood an elephant. The blind man stepped forward to touch the creature that was the subject of so many arguments. The first blind man reached out and touched the side of the huge animal. An elephant is smooth and solid like a wall, he declared. It must be very powerful. The second man put his hand on the elephant's limber trunk. An elephant is like a giant snake, he announced. The third blind man felt the elephant's pointed tusk. I was right, he decided. This creature is as sharp and deadly as a spear. The fourth blind man touched one of the elephant's 4 legs. What we have here, he said, is an extremely large cow. The fifth blind man felt the elephant's giant ear I believe an elephant is like a huge fan, or maybe a magic carpet that can fly over mountains and treetops, he said. The sixth blind man gave a tug on the elephant's coarse tail. Why, this is nothing more than a piece of old rope. Dangerous indeed, he scoffed. The gardener led his friends to the shade of a tree. Sit here and rest for the long journey home, he said. I will bring you some water to drink. While they waited, the sixth blind man talked about the elephant. An elephant is like a wall, said the first blind man. Surely we can finally agree on that. A wall? An elephant is a giant snake, answered the second blind man. It's a spear, I tell you, insisted the third blind man. I'm certain it's a giant cow, said the fourth blind man. A magic carpet, there's no doubt, said the fifth blind man. Don't you see, pleaded the sixth blind man. Someone used a rope to trick us. Their argument continued, and their shouts grew louder and louder. Wall, snake, spear, cow, carpet, rope. Stop shouting, called a very angry voice. It was the Raja, awakened from his nap by the noisy argument. How could each of you be so certain you are right? Asked the ruler. The six blind men considered the question. And then, knowing the Raja to be a very wise man, they decided to say nothing at all. The elephant is a very large animal, said the Raja kindly. Each man only touched one part. Perhaps if you put all of the parts together, you will see the truth. Now, let me finish my nap. When their friend returned to the garden with the cool water, the six men rested quietly in the shade, thinking about the Raja's advice. He was right, said the first blind man. To learn the truth, we must put all the parts together. Let's discuss this on the journey home. The first blind man put his hand on the shoulder of the young boy, who would guide them home. The second blind man put a hand on his friend's shoulder, and so on until all six men were ready to travel together. The end. Discussion questions. How does it feel when someone does not listen to you? If your friend has a problem, why is it important to listen to them? How does the teacher feel when students are not listening? Were any of the blind men not telling the truth? How does it feel when someone disagrees with you? If you do not feel like people are listening to you, what could you do? How can listening to other points of view build peace? This has been an Epic Ethics recording, generously sponsored by the Daniels Fund Ethics Initiative. We'd also like to thank Colorado Rotary District 5450 for your service above self and support of peaceful schools. For more information about the Epic Ethics program, or to bring this program to your elementary school, contact us at www.epicethics.org.